Despite the fact that Disney was desperately hoping for a bounce back year in 2023, it's been anything but that. In fact, you could argue it's been even worse than 2022. When you look at the box office results, especially the way they ended everything, with flops like The Marvels and Wish, Disney has in all likelihood had their worst year in history at the box office. The 100th year anniversary of Disney, and it's a total and complete failure. We know that Wish flopped. We know that The Marvels flopped, and that Bob Iger acknowledged those things in recent interviews, that he was forced to acknowledge that they have had massive box office flops this year. But I'm not sure everyone quite understands just how bad it's been. When you look at numbers like these, when you look at headlines like these, and realize that Disney actually does have the only profitable big budget blockbuster movie, a movie with a budget of over $200 million this year, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Unfortunately, like I've said for a long time, that movie barely made a profit. It barely broke even. It's not like it was pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars in profit because its budget was so massive. And now that it's nearly the end of the year, we're starting to get some breakdowns of exactly how much money Disney lost at the box office, and it's well over $1 billion. Just think about that. That just with their box office releases, Disney's in the hole over $1 billion. This is absolutely insane. Take a look at this. Now, this is from Dan Murrell, who runs a YouTube channel. He's not some kind of like Disney hater or anything, but he does do box office breakdowns. Look at these numbers from Disney releases just this year. And it's not only Disney movies, it's also including 20th Century Studios, which obviously owned by Disney. That's why you're seeing some of these things in there that weren't necessarily advertised as big-time Disney movies, but Disney does own them. Only one movie that they've released has made that profit. Like we said, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and as I've stated for a long time, this thing barely broke even. This is a pretty generous assumption, $28 million. And honestly, a lot of these breakdowns of the profit loss for these things are being a little bit conservative, a little bit favorable to Disney. The reality is it's likely much, much worse, especially when you look at some of the marketing budgets. He does the full breakdown for something like Wish and even admits that he might be giving them a break when it comes to marketing, because instead of the typical kind of half the budget for marketing, he guessed a little bit less, makes $75 million. And I think that's fair because we're not going to know exactly what it is for a while, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit less. So it might be a little bit conservative, but it kind of makes sense. And look at these numbers, breaking down the China numbers, breaking down the international numbers, and specifically breaking down the domestic numbers as well as that scaling percentage depending on which week. This is pretty damn accurate. Now, it's delayed by about a week because he came out with this video about a week ago, and Wish has made, $10 million more since then or something. But overall, it's a very good calculation of whether these movies are making money, how much they spent on it when you combine the budget and the marketing, and how much they're actually getting back after the theaters get their cut. And as you can see, when it comes to Wish, a $235 million loss for Disney. In all likelihood, by the end of its entire run, those losses will be somewhere around, $210 million, something like that, to give Disney a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But look at the rest of these numbers. Let's go through it. The one movie that cracked the profit, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And even though it makes over $800 million, because the budget's $250 million, because they spent $150 million probably on marketing, you barely crack even on it. But look at all of the red on this page. The Boogeyman, minus $30 million. A Haunting in Venice, minus $38 million. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, $80 million in the hole. Elemental, $90 million. The Creator, $91 million loss. Little Mermaid, $115 million. Think of how many of these things were branded as successes by the mainstream media and Disney alike, when in reality, things like Elemental, things like Little Mermaid are losing $100 million at the box office conservatively. Haunted Mansion, almost a $200 million loss. Dial of Destiny, $214 million. Wish, $235 million. And The Marvels, a $260 million loss. And let's be very straightforward as well. These losses are bigger than that. Dial of Destiny, we don't know the actual numbers yet for the budget. It's going to be higher than reported. The Marvels is going to be higher than reported when tax time comes in the UK. Quantumania was also filmed in London. This will be higher than reported. So all these numbers, you can add a lot to it. This is the most conservative estimate possible, the most beneficial to Disney. and they lost nearly $1.4 billion at the box office. This is not sustainable. Disney should be in full-blown panic mode over all of this stuff. Bob Iger's been forced to admit this, but when you look at the money that they're losing on the streaming service, they're still losing money on Disney Plus, by the way, while shedding, 10 million subscribers in this calendar year, something like that. Combine that with over $1 billion in losses at the box office, it's no wonder people are scrambling. It's no wonder Bob Iger's fighting for his job and fighting to keep these people off the board because he knows they're vulnerable. Blood is in the water. They are losing money hand over fist. And it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. These numbers are staggering, but it's wild to think that these are actually a little bit conservative and it could be a whole lot worse than this when the real numbers finally come out for these movies. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.